The Siamese Mauser is a Mauser action produced in Japan for Thailand. Originally chambered in an 8x50R cartridge very similar to the Austrian, most were updated to an 8x52R cartridge featuring a spitzer bullet. This one here wasn't converted and is still in the original 8x50R. And as with most obsolete cartridges, if you want to shoot, you'll have to make them yourself.
Before you consider reloading, the most important thing is you need to know for sure which cartridge your rifle is chambered for. You can get an idea by the rear sight ramp. If it's been filed down and the markings obscured, it's most likely been updated to 8x52R. If not, and it looks like this, with the humps extending over the top of the rear sight leaf, it's most likely an 8x50R. But the way to know for sure is to cast the chamber and check it against the case dimensions. This is the result of SeroSafe in the chamber, and I checked this against case measurements found online with a pair of calipers. Now, the 8x52R cases are larger in almost every dimension than the 8x50R, so there is some obvious differences between the two. Once you're sure it's 8x50R, you can get started reloading. Now, dies are available, however they're limited run, hard to find, and expensive when you can't find them. As an alternative, what I have here is a set of 8x50R French Lebel reloading dies. Now, even though it says 8x50R, the French is a lot different than the Siamese. So I'm not using these for making Lebel ammo to fit into a Siamese Mauser. I'm using the 8x50 Lebel dies to form the cases needed for 8x50 Siamese. Now for brass, I have 7.62x54R brass cases. Make sure that it is reloadable boxer primed brass, which this one is. Surplus could be brass cased, but could contain a Berdan primer. So you don't want to break your decapping pin on one of these. Last, I have a shell holder for 7.62x54R. So just like any other reloading, I'm going to put the shell holder in the ram, and I'm going to take out the full length sizing die. I'm going to screw it all the way down. I'm going to set it up just like any other die. I'm going to lower the ram, turn it until it's touching the top of the ram, raise the ram, and then lower it a quarter of a turn, and then tighten the lock ring. I like to test out the handle and make sure I'm getting the cam over action at the bottom of the stroke. Now I'm taking out the expander. I'm going to lube up the case just like any other caliber. I like to use the Imperial sizing wax, put it in the shell holder, and then run it up slowly into the die. Go slow because you don't want to wrinkle the case. And then make sure you get that cam over action at the bottom of the stroke. Pull it out. And that's the result of the sizing die. What I just sized is right in the middle. I have my chamber casting on the right, and on the left is a unsized 54R case. So you can see the shoulder is pushed back to right where it needs to be according to the chamber casting. Now I'm going to put the expander back in. Now I'm just going to put some lube on the mouth of the casing, and then I'm only going to run the expander through the case mouth. I'm not going to go all the way down. So you can feel it as it goes down, and then before you bottom out, bring it back through. So that just opens up the case mouth to accept the 8mm bullet. The last thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this case and I'm going to trim it to length to 1.98 inches overall. I also annealed the case mouths on all of these Siamese 8x50R cases that I'm doing, and that's just to give a little bit better longevity since you're working the brass quite a bit. From there, now that you have your cases, you can make your ammo. I'm not going to share load data since YouTube doesn't like that, so I don't want to get knocked for doing that, but it's available. It's out there on the internet. Look it up, load up your cases, and happy shooting.